Good evening YouTube, it's Will again here to talk to you about some albums and discographies of musical artists. Remember to please subscribe to my channel, remember to like and comment, and we can engage in some conversations of what you think about my videos as well as the content within. Okay, right, today we're going to do an actual album. We're not going to be discussing an entire discography. As you know, in my previous videos we've done Black Sabbath, Guns N' Roses, and they've been the entire catalogue discussed, each individual album ranked on general thoughts, with a bit of history on what's going on in the band at that point. This time we're going to do a specific album, so we're going to be going through each individual song, what my thoughts on that song, and then I'll give a whole kind of general, broader theme, what I think of the album. And again, try and give a little bit of background, what's going on, where the recording's happening, who's doing what in the band, if there's any sort of particular controversy. Now, for this particular video, we're not going to be doing a hard rock or heavy metal artist. Instead, we're actually going to be doing a new wave band from the 1980s, or more specifically, a group that was very important to the whole new romantic movement in London of the early 80s as well. Today we're going to be doing their third album. We're going to be discussing True by Spandau Ballet. This particular album, again, is my favourite from all the records they've done. I do like some of the cover albums they did after this, Parade and Through the Barricades. I do like a couple of stuff from the more new romantic synth-orientated stuff. And the couple of new tracks they've released in the last 10 to 12 years over the Once More and the Greatest Hits compilation album. Some of the songs now have been pretty cool as well. But this particular album is one that I have a lot of time for. It's a great record. It's a very different album to a lot of my musical taste, but I think that's why I like it a lot. Spandau Ballet at this point have become very influenced by trying to be very different to what they've done previously. The first two albums are very influenced by the New Romantics. The first album is very influenced by groups like Ultravox and the whole German like Kraftwerk movements as well, and a bit of David Bowie. And then the second album they did was a bit more kind of funk, kind of soul, kind of reggae, kind of feel to it, as well as a little bit of a hangover of the New Romantics sound. For this particular record, for the True album, they started to kind of switch things up and become more like pop stars, and they did this very successfully. They incorporated a lot of the Northern Soul, the blue-eyed soul movement that was going up there into the music, and created perhaps one of the best albums of the 1980s in my opinion. So they start off with track 1, which is called Pleasure. Pleasure opens up the album. It's got this very kind of cool bass line to the music. It's got a lot of keyboards, but they're not the non-heavy synth-orientated ones. The kind of more of that 80s pop kind of keyboard coming in on top. A little bit of guitar being thrown as well. And this is the first time that the band started using a saxophone on the record as well. At this point, Steve Norman, who's become their multi-instrumentalist, previously had been mainly a guitar player. During the recording of the second album and the promotion for it, he picks up the saxophone, starts playing it, and it becomes now a very crucial element to Spandau Ballet moving forward in their career. The actual song itself is very kind of like ethereal in the sense that it kind of roams through the speakers. The actual song, what was it called, Pleasure, kind of discusses the idea of being in a moment with someone and being in a pleasurable place with them. I think Martin Kemp's bass line in it sounds really, really cool as well. And John Keyboard's percussion at the back is very, very strong. It's very nice, very simple, but kind of gives that momentum you need for the song. And Tony Hadley, like on all the tracks on this, sounds amazing. And I think he has one of the best voices from the pop era of the 1980s as well. So overall, I would give this particular song as an opening a pretty good solid 6.5 to 7 out of 10. It's not one of the strongest songs on the album, but it's a good opener. After this, then we get into the song Communication, which was one of the big singles for the album. It actually had a video as well, and I think in the video, singer Tony Hadley is basically doing a bit of a bank job for some people. Basically, it's very much only him. He actually features from the band in the video. The actual song as well is actually about literally just trying to create communication with another human being. They try to do it through the telephone, and that's kind of the kind of tongue-in-cheek metaphor they use for the song. I think it's a really, really great song overall. It's got a very incredible chorus to it. It has very catchy, very much that kind of 80s pop sound they were aiming for. But it still had this really nice sophistication that kind of fell through the song as well. The harmonies on the it just sounds great as well, and overall the entire type of production of it is a really strong song. Overall, I'd give it a very good 8 out of 10. It's a song that became a staple in the band's live set for the rest of their career. It's just ultimately a very, very cool track as well. Not a lot of use of the saxophone in this particular one, but to be honest, it's got a lot of heavy keyboard influence on it, so it doesn't need to have that kind of momentum. After Communication, we get into The Code of Love. And The Code of Love is one of the real kind of love songs on the album. It's a very kind of understated song compared to the other big ballads on the record. It's ultimately about a man trying to reach out to this person he's deeply in love with, but doesn't seem to be reciprocating it. It's not quite unrequited love, rather, but it's certainly along those lines. The saxophone is very prominent on this, as is the bass line. The bass line is very much at the forefront, and it really does help the music kind of move through the rest of it, the very sophisticated, ethereal element of that particular song. It's a song actually that, of all the tracks on here, kind of grew on me the most. Like, it's one I didn't like initially, but as time I've gone back to listen to the album, going through that song, it's one I kind of always liked. I've always liked the lyric on there, talking about catching the rye. That was all a really good kind of like simile and kind of play on rhyming as well with that particular track and that particular lyric as well. Ultimately, I would give it a good sort of 7 out of 10. Very, very respectable. Again, it's not one of the biggest songs on the album. I don't think it's ever been played live, but it is still very good, very much worth a listen. I think the only drawback with it is that it is just a bit kind of understated. It doesn't really have that big punch that they were kind of hoping going forwards in the more popular tracks on the record, but it's still very good. And like I said, it's probably one that will grow on you if you want to go back to listen to this record. Following Code of Love, we get to track 4, which is probably the biggest song on here, and it's probably the one song that everybody would associate with Spandau Ballet. It became the unofficial theme song to the 2012 London Olympics, and that, of course, is Gold. Gold actually was their idea, their concept to actually do a James Bond style song. Their main rivals, Duran Duran, actually would do a James Bond track for View to a Kill a couple of years after the release of this album. But this was them kind of almost kind of unofficially saying, look, we can do a Bond song, let us do one. And sadly, they never did, but I think it would have been great. The song is very kind of, I think it's I don't think it's particularly about anything specifically, but I think it's ultimately about, achieving your goals and being a bit of a hero. And becoming number one. The guitar on it, I think, has got a fantastic kind of play on it. The live version with the guitar, particularly with that Gary Kemp has created for the live performance, as a guitar player, it's very interesting to play. It has a lot of fun to it. The saxophone solo really does kind of drive the entire song home as well. And of course, that chorus, I think, is one that anyone in a nightclub at one point in their life is definitely kind of chanting on to at 2 in the morning. You are gold, always believe in your soul. Very, very impactful, very kind of like raising you up kind of music. It's a very nice contrast to the previous track, Code of Love, which is a bit more understated, a bit more somber kind of music. Ultimately, though, you can't deny this is a 9 out of 10 track. There's not a lot to fault it, and actually the album version, in my opinion, is a lot better because you get a bit more breadth to it rather than the version here on the radio, which is great for singing in the car, but you don't really get the full breadth of the song, in my opinion, with the single. This was, of course, one of their big number 1 tracks for the album, and as I said, it's the biggest song they're probably one of the most recognised with. Great song, absolutely love it. Moving into the second half of the album, we get to track 5, which is Lifeline. And Lifeline is actually, I think, just the sweetest track on the album, in the sense that it has this very kind of cutesy, very kind of poppy element to it. Again, it's another very keyboard heavy one. The guitar kind of floats in the background that has this kind of like funk influence, kind of like beats and notes being played in. The bass, once again, comes back to the forefront after being kind of like in the middle ground, more so for Gold. Ultimately, though, it has a really nice kind of chorus on it, and again, it's very much one that's ultimately just talking about love through and through. The entire album is actually kind of has love as the ultimate kind of theme of it, but that is one that is very obscenely talking about love. There's no kind of innuendos about how someone is your lifeline for life, and that's one of the reasons why you deeply love this person. It's again one of the other songs that became a bit of a staple, particularly during the reunion periods of Spandau Ballet, so what they've done the last 10, 12 years. It is a song that after a while, if you listen to it a couple of times in a row, really does begin to grind on you. Well, that's how I feel like a lot about ABBA tracks. It has that kind of you've had enough to listen to Lifeline, but as the one-off when I maybe go through the album or watch a live concert of theirs, you do get kind of very pumped listening to Lifeline. So ultimately, though, I would give it a good 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely worth listening to. It's it's definitely a pretty strong track. It's a very strong track, but you might get bored and listen to it quite quickly. Track 6 is actually, in my opinion, perhaps the weakest track on the entire album, and it's Heaven is a Secret, rather. Heaven is a Secret is, in my opinion, probably not the best track on here. It's actually the one that I don't really have a lot of time for. It's trying to be a ballad, but also trying to be a bit more kind of mid up tempo. It doesn't really kind of gel with the rest of the tracks for me. It's the one that kind of I forget about the most on here. It's ultimately about sort of getting your way into heaven, but through using love in order to do so. It's the kind of way I've done this, and but you also could interpret it that heaven is the kind of the bedroom, as it were. Ultimately, I'll give it a sort of 4.5 out of 10. It's actually one of the much weaker tracks on the Spandau Ballet catalogue, in my opinion. Like the rest of this album, it does have a lot of great production, but it's ultimately just not a particularly strong song. Track 7, we get to Foundation, which is, again, a track they've probably only performed maybe once or twice on television. It was a single for the record, maybe one of the sort of latest singles. It's a very simple song in the sense that it's very much just verse, chorus, like an instrumental version of a chorus. It doesn't really do too much. The guitar in it, actually, I've always liked the guitar tone, that kind of chorusy, almost kind of watery effect on Gary Kemp's clean guitar sound. Again, got a very nice kind of keyboard riff to it, rather. The rhythm section sound really good, and the saxophone comes back to the forefront a fair bit. And it's all about obviously building a foundation for your relationship. Actually, I think on the verses, actually my favourite Tony Hadley performance is actually on this track. So I do rate it kind of a bit higher than Heaven is a Secret, but it's ultimately still one of the ones you do tend to forget about as you go back and listen to the record. And like Lifeline, it one that kind of gets boring to listen to quite quickly. So ultimately, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's not a terrible album, a terrible song rather, but it's not a particularly strong song either. But nevertheless, though, we do get to track 8, which is the final song, and it's Decide to Track True. This is tapped number 2, or arguably even number 1, flipping it back towards Blue Gold, as the song that everyone most associates with Spandau Ballet. It was the ballad of the 80s. It's still a ballad that I think that everyone's got to have intercourse with at least once in their life, playing in the background. It is ultimately about making sure your love is true for someone, and that very much the beginnings of a relationship, and how it kind of goes through that real sweet moment until, perhaps even for the rest of your life. Love is meant to be timeless. The riff on it is absolutely amazing. It's one of my favourite clean guitar riffs of all time. The bass line on it is very subtle, but those moments that really come through into the mix as well. The saxophone solo hits you like a train at that middle way point, and it just sounds amazing. And Tony Hadley just sounds incredible through and through. Shout out to drummer John Keeble, who is through the entire album keeping everything nice and cool down. This song you can't really deny. I give it a good 8.5 out of 10. I don't think it's quite as good as Gold, but it's definitely an amazing song, and it's one that everyone should listen to at least once, and like I said, perhaps have intercourse with your partner at least once as well. That's true. As a whole album, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It is a really good album. Like I said, the first half is amazing. It kind of teals us off towards the beginning of the second half, and then it comes back with the title track in it, and you end on a really good beat. Why I like this album a lot, I think I've said, it's an album very different to what that kind of guy like. I think there is something about it. It like a lot of my favourite albums, is one I do find quite easy to listen to. You're not waiting necessarily for the songs to always finish. Perhaps maybe Heaven's a Secret is the one, a real exception to that. But it is a very, very good album. You can tell they recorded this under good terms, and they were out in the Bahamas at this point, which was getting a very nice kind of very warm effect. And it was during a time when love was really cool to sing about again, after many years of punk and goth and new romantic movement kind of sound, which is maybe very more artistic. It's just a really good pop album, and I'd highly recommend it for anyone who wants to come and have a listen. Thank you for listening to my first album review. I hope it wasn't too bad. Please give me some feedback in your comments, see what you thought, how I did well versus my discographies. Remember to come watch my other videos as well, and then hopefully soon we'll have another album review up. Please let me know if there's any particular albums or particular discographies you want me to run through, and if it's possible I will definitely get around to it. Otherwise, though, thank you for watching.